Now operational is a huge energy storage plant located near Monterey Bay. According to Ariana Jaza, it results from PG&E and Tesla's collaboration. Two energy storage facilities have already been built in Moss Landing, establishing the Monterey Bay as a global center for battery energy storage, one of the biggest utility-owned lithium-ion battery storage systems in the world. The Tesla Megapack battery system was put online by PG&E on Monday. The goal of this system is to facilitate the grid's integration of renewable energy sources, such as solar energy. It saves renewable energy to be used later on when demand spikes. With plans to expand into Shanghai and Lut, California, Tesla's Megapack company, which focuses on large-scale battery energy storage, witnessed a more than twofold increase in business in 2023. High hopes are held for the upcoming year's growth to continue. This raises a crucial query. How big may Tesla's Megapack business grow to be, and when can this peak happen? In order to investigate this, let us take a closer look at how battery energy storage adoption might develop between now and 2050, considering the potential market size at each stage, as well as Tesla's prospective market share. However, before we get into the specifics, remember to subscribe to Tesla Stock News and give this video a thumbs up. Alright, enough talking. Let's get going. Speaking of forecasts, Tesla published a white paper titled Master Plan Part 3, Sustainable Energy for All of Earth following their Investor Day. In it, they estimated that the United States alone would require roughly 6.5 terawatt-hours (TWh) of 8-hour lithium-ion storage in order to make the switch to renewable energy. This estimate does not provide precise timeliness or likelihood predictions, but it does offer a general overview of the possible maximum battery requirement. The phrase 8-hour lithium-ion storage refers to the energy stored and released over the course of 8 hours, which is equivalent to 8,115 MW of electricity, or 6.5 TW of energy. The duration rating that most grid storage batteries are anticipated to have is not always reflected in this duration. Let's look at predictions from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, to provide further light on the schedule and storage times. According to NREL, the implementation of grid storage in the United States to support renewable energy is expected to occur in 4 stages by 2050. The need for more comprehensive grid storage is anticipated to grow as these phases progress, since the energy grid is relying more and more on intermittent sources like wind and solar, which need large reserves to handle supply shortages or demand surges. Although longer storage periods improve grid stability, they also present financial difficulties. Slower charge and discharge rates result in less chances for income generation, and longer storage periods also mean higher continuing expenses for finance, property taxes, and maintenance. Notwithstanding these obstacles, economies of scale and technology breakthroughs are predicted to induce a decline in energy storage costs, opening the door for the eventual implementation of longer-term storage projects. While NREL's phase-by-phase breakdown provides more information than Tesla's aggregate estimate, it is devoid of details like the kinds of technologies to be employed, the precise years for phase deployment, and the gigawatt-hour (GWh) of energy that the capacity is measured in. Every stage has been assigned a primary grid service to help understand the planned uses. Phase 2 is devoted to peaking capacity in order to replace gas-powered peaker plants. Phase 3 is focused on time shifting to balance load over a 24-hour period, and Phase 4, dubbed renewables firming, will address the deeper reserves required for the switch to renewable energy sources. Phase 1 is focused on operating reserves, such as frequency regulation, to stabilize the grid. Longer duration storage options are expected to gain traction in terms of deployment timescales as costs become more competitive. The industry average sale costs of 4-hour battery storage reached $120 per kilowatt-hour (kWh) in 2020, which was a turning point. It is suggested that 8-hour and 12-hour storage solutions will become economically viable when sale costs decrease to $60 and $40 per kWh, respectively, even though this number does not include total installation costs. On the other hand, the economics of storage under an hour function according to different principles and are frequently priced based on power capacity rather than energy capacity, because of their decreased revenue prospects within specific time limits. This corresponded to a $480 per core sale price requirement for Phase 1's operational reserves, which was attained between 2013 and 2015. In the upcoming year, it is anticipated that the cost of lithium iron phosphate (LFP) battery cells will drop to $60 per car in China, indicating the beginning of Phase 3. Prices are predicted to fall to $40 per car by 2030, possibly signaling the start of Phase 4. While it is yet unclear if lithium-ion batteries will be able to reach this goal, sodium-ion batteries may be able to fill the void. These projections provide a framework for a 20-year storage deployment window and shed light on the phases, overlap, and timing as the energy sector transitions to renewable energy. This paradigm highlights the economic forces influencing this crucial transition and aids in understanding when particular storage lengths might become feasible. Remarkably, NREL projects that by 2050, pumped hydro facilities will account for the majority of 12-hour storage, with no additional expansion anticipated after 2020. In contrast, I believe that 12-hour storage will be dominated by ion-based battery technologies by 2040, with growth spurred by drastically lower costs. Phase 1 estimates begin at 64 GWh and increase to 320 GWh for Phases 2 and 3, and 106 GWh for Phase 4. The selection of these numbers is predicated on the hypothesis that battery costs will eventually decline, hastening the switch to renewable energy sources. Multiplying these gigawatt capacities by the corresponding durations results in 5.18 TWh or 64 GWh for Phase 1, 1.28 TWh for Phase 2, 2.56 TWh for Phase 3, and 1.28 TWh for Phase 4. The energy storage numbers are converted into their 8-hour equivalents in order to bring these numbers into line with Tesla's projection of 6.5 TWh for the United States. A battery rated for 4 hours, for instance, cycles twice as quickly as one rated for 8 hours, hence doubling its energy throughput. By following this reasoning, the 5.18 TWh becomes roughly 6.47 TWh, which is in close agreement with Tesla's estimate. Moving on to battery life, the forecast accounts for the anticipated battery service life at various storage times. For 1-hour storage, the estimated service life is 10 years. For 12-hour storage, it is 30 years. These estimates are primarily based on educated estimations and variables, such as Tesla's 20-year Megapack warranty, which recognizes that environmental influences and other things other than cycle life might affect battery life. By dividing the total energy by the anticipated service life of the batteries, the necessary yearly production capacity to support this deployment is computed. In the United States alone, this amounts to 6.4 GWh for Phase 1, 64 GWh for Phase 2, 102 GWh for Phase 3, and 43 GWh for Phase 4. The National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, predicts that by 2050, pumped hydro facilities would be the primary source of 12-hour energy storage, with no expansion expected beyond 2020. But by 2040, I believe there will be a change in the market for 12-hour storage, with ion-based battery technologies projected to lead due to notable price reductions. Phase 1 of the forecast is assigned 64 GWh, while Phases 2 and 3 escalate to 320 GWh, and Phase 4 culminates with 106 GWh. These numbers are based on the premise that the cost of batteries will keep going down, which will accelerate the switch to renewable energy. These capacity, multiplied by the length of each phase, equal 5.18 TWh, or 64 GWh for Phase 1, 1.28 TWh for Phase 2, 2.56 TWh for Phase 3, and 1.28 TWh for Phase 4. These statistics are recalculated into their 8-hour equivalents to match Tesla's predicted 6.5 TWh of energy needed for the United States. Batteries rated for 4-hour discharge, for example, have the capacity to cycle twice as quickly as those rated for 8-hour discharge, effectively doubling their energy output. After recalibration, the total comes to approximately 6.47 TWh, which is almost exactly in line with Tesla's predictions. The estimated service life of these batteries, which ranges from 10 years for 1-hour storage to 30 years for 12-hour storage, is also taken into account in the research. Despite being speculative, these estimates take into account elements other than cycle life, such as exposure to severe temperatures and weather, and they take into account Tesla's up to 20-year megapack warranty. By dividing the total energy by the anticipated service life of the batteries, the yearly production capacity needed to support this system is calculated. Within the United States, this translates to 6.4 GWh for Phase 1, 64 GWh for Phase 2, 102 GWh for Phase 3, and 43 GWh for Phase 4. We use comparable phase distributions and timescales, expanding this model to a global scale and taking Tesla's estimate of 46.2 TW of needed lithium-ion batteries globally into account. This global viewpoint highlights the significant contribution that battery technology will make to the global transition to renewable energy sources, as well as its significant influence on the policies for energy in the future.